Hey everybody, it's good to see you on this Friday morning. And a couple of things I'd like to just go over with you if I could today. Really all about the virtual part of our new world. Specifically, we're going to talk a little bit today, just briefly, about some of the keys to selling a home virtually. And this comes from a Keeping Current Matters blog that I sent a little while ago. But the more I thought about this, the more important I think it is that we realize how much virtual is going to become a part of our lives. So just a couple of things, really two post-COVID realities. Uh, One of those is virtual marketing, and then there's virtual selling. I made a statement not too long ago that virtual will become the new normal. And I kind of changed that on my slide because I've come to the conclusion that virtual has become the new normal. And we're going to talk obviously a lot more about that in the coming days. But let's just take a little walk through virtual here for a second. We'll start with virtual marketing. In today's rapidly changing market, it's more important than ever to make sure you have a digital game plan and an effective online marketing strategy when you're listing a home for sale. I think you'll agree with that, certainly with everything we've been seeing and hearing and watching. So, what does a game plan look like? What does a good marketing strategy look like? Well, first of all, photos and virtual tours have to stand out from the crowd, even more than ever. You know, I've talked to many of you about listing photographs and how poorly photography is done in our business. And I'm a believer now that more than ever, they've got to be not only good, they've got to be great, they've got to stand out. I'm talking about, in many cases, professional photography. Um, I'm talking about professional tours, using that professional photography and or video, giving potential buyers a detailed, thorough view of the home. Obviously, is more important than ever since we really can't get into as many as we used to be able to get into. So, virtual, all about technology. And according to a recent Realtor.com survey, when asked to select what technology would be most helpful when deciding on a new home, here's what today's DC during COVID home buyers said in order of their preference. No surprise here, a video tour of the home. I just snuck in there video open houses too. We'll talk more about that at a later date. Accurate and detailed listing information. I think more than ever, we really have to pay attention to the MLS sheets when we're filling them out to enter a listing into the system. I just did a little class on editing and inputting MLS listings. And I'm always shocked when I review this material how many options there are for information that go into the MLS sheet. Take advantage of them, all of them. And by the way, going back to photos, I think our MLS will now hold up to 50 videos. So accurate and detailed listing information, the detailed neighborhood information, as much as possible. And we're going to get into a little bit more of neighborhood information in a couple seconds when we talk about actually virtually selling a listing. Again, high quality listing photos. These are the things that today's buyers are saying are so very important. I need you to remember those for something I'm going to talk about here at the end. So what I'm going to do is attach my PowerPoint slideshow here to this video so you'll be able to pull that up and use the information as you think about putting together your strategy and marketing plan post-COVID. So let's talk a second about virtual selling. Boy, this is really tricky. But in the same survey by Realtor.com, people thinking about selling their homes indicated that they're generally willing to allow their agent and some potential buyers inside their home under the right conditions. So, boy, that leaves it wide open. What are the right conditions? I took some liberty here with the Keeping Current Matters blog to add a couple things that I think are really important. And this is one section that I snuck in here about the right conditions. I don't think in today's world we can even consider working with a buyer unless they are pre-approved, not pre-qualified, pre-approved. I think it's just an absolute mandatory requirement. And I added this as well. I think we need to make sure that the buyer has physically seen the property by driving past the house and through the neighborhood. Even in the old days, I used to recommend that people drive by the home, drive through the neighborhood before we set up an appointment, because many, many times photographs are deceiving. And when they drive through the neighborhood, pull up to the house, they go, "Oh, no, no, we don't want to see this." Well, I'd rather have that happen before I made an appointment to see that property. And especially today, there would be nothing worse than going through the COVID-19 hassle of preparing for a showing, only to find out that the buyer doesn't really want to see it. So to me, those two things are part of the right conditions. Physically going to the property. This is a tough one. And after leveraging all the technology, we're probably going to have some buyers who want to see the listing in person. I get that. I would probably do that. And according to the NAR, there are ways to proceed safely. And I'll say that last word again, safely. The website I have here gives all the up-to-date information from the NAR on showing properties. I think it's really good. We've got to understand a couple of things. Top priority should always be obey state and local restrictions first, and have in-person guidelines in place for any showing that you do that's live and in person. So I put together a little list of what I think good in-person guidelines might look like. Hopefully this will be helpful for you. But to me, it's when you're with a buyer walking through the home here in these times, during COVID, post-COVID, I think we need to start limiting the in-person activity. Let me explain that. I'm sure you've walked in a home with a buyer and they're opening cabinets and they're pulling drawers and they're doing all kinds of things. I think we just can't allow that. If someone wants to see something, I would say to them, ask me. I'd be happy to open that for you, and I would have gloves at that point, just as a precautionary measure and for the safety not only of the people that live there, but for the people that I'm working with. So shouldn't be too hard for anybody to understand. Limit the in-person activity, hands off. Require guests to wash their hands or use an alcohol-based sanitizer. I don't think we've heard anything more about the proper thing to do than wash your hands. I don't think it's too much to ask before we enter somebody's home. I really don't. Have everybody take their shoes off, or as I used to do, have little booties in the car that you can put over the top of shoes so that you're not walking through someone's home, especially now, with uncovered shoes. So remove shoes or cover with booties. And again, just follow the guidelines, the CDC guidelines, the NAR guidelines, local and state guidelines. We know them pretty well at this point, but there's lots of places to go for that information if we need it. So let's talk about the digital sale in review for just a second. So I think we need to learn how to make a sale happen. by putting the necessary digital steps in place, making them a part of what we do every time. So I'm going to challenge you to put together your very own digital marketing plan. Make digital a normal part of your post-COVID marketing plan. Remember what technology those digital home buyers think are important. If you look at that slide, those are really, really important things that buyers want, and they would make a great template for your new digital marketing plan. So, in closing, Nate Johnson, CMO at Realtor.com, made this quote. As real estate agents and consumers seek out ways to safely complete these transactions, we believe the technology will become an even more imperative part of how we search for, buy, and sell homes moving forward. I think it just reiterates what I've said today in this little brief training session. Excuse me. It sounds like some of these new practices are kind of here to stay. So my words of wisdom today would be, why not prepare now? Make it a part of your marketing plan. Put that digital plan together. Keep it in place. This is the new normal. There's no doubt that technology is going to take over. And those who get it are going to have a very, very long career. And those that don't, I think you know the answer to that question. So, in conclusion, this is Lloyd saying thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. I'm going to be sending a message out to you later about what's happening here with the company as far as the coronavirus is concerned, and a couple of other things in my late Broker's Corner coming out later today. So take care all, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.